Illegal on the casino and plan. I think oh my god, it's prohibited.
Kyle.
Oh my god. Welcome.
So we're filming stuff for the Ghibli ranking tomorrow. You need to put your Ghibli. You need to just gather up your Ghibli stuff. I've already put my stuff in the car. Yeah, put it in this box.
There. You happy?
Your Ghibli stuff. You gotta put your Ghibli stuff in there.
I don't have any Ghibli stuff.
As big of a f***ing anime nerd as you are, and you don't have any Ghibli stuff.
I just got funny Hercule.
Then just bring some of your anime stuff. Why are you making that face?
You know why.
I really don't.
I don't like this box. It's small. I have my own box.
Okay, then give me the box back. Okay, geez, just put it in my car when you're done.
Okay.
Why'd you bring all that anime stuff? That's mine! Hey, what's going on, guys? It's your BFF Snowy Ario663 here, right now, and I'm joined with my brother Kyle, aka Moody Blues 27, and today we are ranking all 23, I believe, Studio Ghibli films. What do you have to say to get us started, Kyle?
Yay! About time I convinced your ass to do this shit.
The f*** are you people? I feel like I'm screaming into a void.
How much longer does this movie have? I can't anymore, Liz.
It's like we're only like halfway through.
Oh, please tell me we're in the last, like... we saw 40 minutes!
What's our very first film?
I love this film. This film is, peak of movies, you know? This is the peak, you know? You might, when you think of Ghibli, you might think Spirited Away, Kaguya. No. Tales from Earthsea. Mwah! Beautiful. Magnificent.
This is our one and only off tier film. Because the thing is, I was kind of excited. I saw the image and it had a dragon and it looked really cool. And I had high hopes. I know a lot of people put it low, but I'm like, it's fine. I believe in this movie. And then we watched it.
And I wanted to kill myself.
It started out kind of interesting with the talk about how the world was dying and there were dragons and this king is like, we gotta fix this. So he walks away and then all of a sudden this child, who we later find out is his son, comes out of nowhere, kills the king and runs away. I'm like, wow, that's a pretty damn good start to a movie. And then it's like, F you. We're not gonna do anything interesting. We are gonna walk from one location to another and not tell you where we are, what's going on. The world doesn't seem to be dying, and dragons don't even show up to the last 2 minutes, and the reveal, there's a twist at the end, and it's fucking stupid. Do you have anything else to say about the hot mommy MILF?
There's only one redeemable character, and that's the hot mommy MILF.
She looks like Alex from Minecraft.
Fortnite.
There's a rip-off Zuko in terms of the little girl. The villain looks like 2D from Gorillaz if he was like 500 years old and did heroin.
I remember watching this movie. It's whenever she started singing is where I was like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah, the little girl sings at one point, and like, I just didn't care. They were trying to build up a romance, but then again, they weren't because of the twist at the end. I'm just gonna reveal the twist. The girl's a dragon. But we were never informed that these were the rules, that people could be dragons. Because we didn't see any dragons or even talk about them since the first 5 minutes of the movie. Oh yeah, I gotta show Kyle's paper.
Yeah, I don't have anything filled out on this page, so whenever we start talking about favorites,
Okay.
Mommy.
But this was our first introduction to the one and only Goro Miyazaki, who a lot of people shit on, and for his first entry, I'd say he deserves it.
Yeah. This is the only movie besides, like, depressing movies in Ghibli that I just don't want to watch again just because it's bad.
Yeah. I'd say in the Ghibli, there's 3 movies that I never want to watch again. This is one of them. The bad category is the other, and one is just because it's so depressing that I never want to watch it again.
Yeah.
You know what it is if you've seen it. Since he doesn't have anything written down, my favorite character was the donkey horse llama thing.
Mine was the mommy.
And my favorite scene was the villain dying, I guess. That's what I wrote.
I just put shit sus.
So behold, Tales from Earthsea, the second worst movie I think I've ever seen besides Mulan 2020.
Actually just empty. Nothing happens. It's kind of like me staring into your eyes right now as we speak. Yeah, you, Carl.
Okay, moving on.
Hit that bitch! Woo! Yeah!
Or
No, don't feel bad, sir. Let's go, you Giga Chad man.
Ocean Waves is abysmal. It's so bad that this is the only Studio Ghibli film to not have an English dub.
Yeah.
So we had to watch it in Japanese. It is a love story between a guy named Taku and a girl named Rikako. Thank you, Google, because I forgot nor did I care. And Taku has a best friend named Yutaka. He's a best friend named Yutaka, and they are gay 100%.
That's the only time I agree.
However, the movie refuses to admit it because it has to be a hetero love. And by hetero love, I mean Rikaku is a f***ing bitch who just, is so manipulative, so mean. She hits him, and he hits her back. Fair enough, she deserved it. However, she hits him first, just to be fair. She's the worst human being ever, and they never share a single positive scene together. And at the end of the film, Taku is like, man, I sure miss the one true love of my life. Not my best friend, who I definitely am gay for. No, the bitch who manipulated me and hit me and all this stuff. So I'm in love with her. Happy ending!
Woo, yeah! I love Disney movies. Woo, yeah!
But they even have a montage where he realizes that she was the one true love, and all the montage is just her being manipulative or actually hitting him.
and they play One True Love from Four Town. Hi, Zoe. Come here.
The dog doesn't want us to talk about this film. What do you have to say about it?
What don't I have to say about it?
You want to talk about the scene?
I don't remember the scene.
Tennis.
Ah! There's one good scene. That's the only reason it's above Earthsea. And that's Big Booba Lady. Woo! They're playing tennis, and she hitting it, and the booba go bong, bong, bong.
It was kind of uncomfortable, to be honest.
Bong hongala hoogalas, big bongy bongy boings, big summanum, big mummy milkers.
Basically, Taku and Yutaka are outside watching tennis, and they're definitely being straight by saying, let's talk about boobs. They literally say that, and they just cut to a girl playing tennis, and it's just a close-up of her boobs bouncing around. I'm like, okay, cool. Boobs. Thank you for animating this, Ghibli.
Anyways.
My favorite character was Taku the boy by default.
Mine was the big booba.
Of course. And my favorite scene was the drunk guy towards the end, because it was a little funny.
And my favorite scene was whenever they showed the Gundam anime on the TV. That was funny. And it was kind of meta. Woo! I love this movie.
Now we're moving on to movies that we'd actually want to watch again.
Yeah! Woo!
But it's still only a meh.
Well, this so far is so bad it's good.
Yeah.
I love this movie.
Will this be Shark Tale?
I'm on my seat, on the edge of my seat at every animation.
If I grew up with Ghibli, I'd probably be more pissed at this. The next movie will be a slight hot take because most people have this as the lowest film. I went into this terrified out of my mind, and it was... meh. It's Earwig and the Witch.
Woo! Yeah!
Yes, the animation is awful compared to the others.
Dog shit.
However, it does have one pro that other films don't have, is that the facial expressions are so funny. Because this is a comedy. It's not like a out there adventure. It's just a funny movie about a It's a funny movie about the worst child in the world.
No, don't you?
No, she's mean-spirited and she's selfish, and it is funny.
It's kind of like if Cusco didn't go through the character arc.
Yeah, but it's still funny.
But
it's not trying to teach a moral. All else I'm gonna say is that she's British, so that made me upset. It's just mean-spirited, and that's what makes it good.
Yeah.
Your turn.
I love this movie. I really do. It's still just a mediocre movie, but I don't care. I would choose this movie over a lot of other mediocre movies in any of our other list ever. We actually watched this on October, and it's a Halloween movie. Oh my god! And Mandrake is the most well-written character ever. And how the f*** do you f*** up frying bread? You dumb bitch!
That scene was so funny.
She just poured it, just kept pouring.
She just poured oil on the
It was, you know, frying bread. She was just dipping bread in oil and burnt. Die.
She's so mean, and I love it.
Her. She is a role model to anyone, and the song slaps. Fuck you.
It really does, though. Don't disturb me.
It's kind of a little played too much, a little bit overplayed, but you know, it's fine. It's fine. You know, do not disturb me. Custard. I love that she keeps calling the cat Custard because it's funny. Because you know that means she there's something she misses. She likes something at least.
And how the ending, she's like, I finally got everyone under my control. Don't worry, soon I'll get Custard under my control too.
She makes the Mandrake happy by making him write good books, and he gets blushed and flustered like ow and hits his head. Best dad ever. Mandrake's the best character.
I guess my biggest issue with the movie is that it ends way too fast.
Yes.
It's just like, okay, there's a nice scene and we're all getting together and it's like, oh my god, the mom's at the door, end.
Yeah.
Like,
Mom shows up for Christmas, like, Merry Christmas, earwig, and then the movie ends.
But the mom wasn't even around for the entirety of the rest of the movie. She just abandoned a child at the doorstep of an orphanage. And then we have flashbacks of her playing music, and it just shows up at the end of the movie. Like,
and then dips.
Which we don't know! If this came out of Illumination, I probably wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, it does have that. This is probably the best Illumination film to Illumination standards, besides maybe like Despicable Me 1, and then probably Earwig is 2.
My favorite character was Thomas the cat.
I just put yes, but if I had to choose, it would be Mandrake.
My favorite scene was Mandrake getting mad at Bella Yaga for the worms, because that was scary and really funny.
My favorite scene was the end, whenever she got everyone to bend to her will. I just put bend my will.
Alright, and
that's Earwig. Woo!
Yay.
And now we get to move to every other movie.
Every good and above film, because Ghibli... It's kind of like Pixar, where they make mostly really good movies.
And better movies.
Yeah. As lame as this movie is, we haven't gone more than like what 5 minutes without laughing.
You like Grave of the Fireflies? You know that movie that makes everyone cry. Well, you know what that fucker also made that directed that film? My Neighbor the Yamadas. Anyways, My Neighbor the Yamadas. You know that's next. You know it's a good film. It's good. Kind of feels like it shouldn't be a film in a sense. It was originally a news thing. It was like a news thing.
Comics in a newspaper.
Yeah, it was a comic in a newspaper. That's cool that you're making that a movie, but like it's a little long, don't you think? That's the biggest complaint of this movie. It's very long.
It's like 2 hours.
Yeah, it overstates its welcome a decent bit. That's literally the only thing I can think of wrong about this movie. Because I love every character in this movie. Even the dog, Pochi.
This movie has no plot, and that is because it's broken up into segments about, like, just shorts about the family. And it's done in this really cutesy art style, which is the same art style as the comic. Which is nice, but they mess with it a little too much. And, like, in the beginning, like, they tried a bit, like, a more better animation style, I guess. And then it's like, well, that's cool. And they go back to the cartoon. And then there's like one segment where it's like the dad wants to talk to someone about a bike.
on their motorcycles where they do like super serious kind of like
that was weird and it went on way too fucking long.
Yeah, I'm thinking of like kind of like
It was rotoscope animation.
Yeah.
There wasn't any real reason for it. Like if they were trying to make it more intense, make it more scratchy. Don't make it more defined. Like basically the first segment is probably both of our favorites. It's where they forget the youngest daughter, Nonoko, at the mall. Yeah. And Nonoko is like have one brain cell and she just wanders around and is adorable.
But she's so happy.
Yeah. And that segment lasts about 10 minutes. So we're like, okay, so each segment's going to be about that time. The next segment's like 30 seconds, and then the next one is 45 seconds, and the next one's like a minute, and the next one's like 3 minutes. And then it's like, that's how long the segments are, and some of them are like 10 minutes long. Yeah. So it's just like, what?
Yeah, it's very, very weird. It's just a bunch of shorts combined into a movie, and I've never been the biggest fan of those. But like, I just don't like short stories mixed into a movie, because then it just like... do that, you know? They don't mix.
It's not really even an anthology film because there's probably about 45 shorts in here.
Yeah.
But yeah, it overstayed its welcome a lot. But the last half hour, like, just end, roll credits.
Please.
And they even have a musical number where they sing Que Sera. And I'm like, cool, that's a nice ending. But it still keeps going.
Que Sera goes for a very long time. It goes for like 5 minutes, I think.
I like that song, but just stop.
What will be, will be. It shows an image. It shows the poster. What will be, and they just keep going.
It won't stop. It was very funny. The family was surprisingly wholesome.
Yes.
And also the expressions were hilarious.
Yes, even more hilarious than Earwig.
Yeah, the simple animation style made the expressions like crazy funny.
I need some tea.
Dad, can you bring some cake?
And some soda.
And some fruit. And turn up the heat while you're at it. Thank you!
I loved the relationship between the mother and the father. Because, like, how much the mother is just like, oh, I want to do this. And it's so wholesome. And the dad just like, football!
Football, yeah!
Japanese equivalent. I couldn't really tell.
His baseball.
Yeah, I think it was baseball.
Yeah,
yeah, baseball!
Baseball, yeah! Love the Mets. Let's go Mets. Come on, Mets. Love the Mets.
The other thing that's really weird is that Nonoko is the youngest daughter. And she is the cutest and definitely the funniest character. But she's only in, like, 2 scenes, and then she's just a background character. Which is kind of funny because I found out that My Neighbors the Yamadas is the name of the comic strip. Nonoko was by far the most favorite character in the strip. So much so that during the movie was in development, they changed the name of the comic to Nono-chan.
Yeah. And I feel like if they made the movie more about Nonoko and shortened it a bit, it would have been so much better.
All right, I'm never probably ever watching this again, but if it's on, sure.
Yeah, I might put this on just for like background music, just because a lot of the words they say are very funny.
Yeah, I ain't watching it all the way through.
Yeah.
My favorite character was Nonoko.
Mine was also Nonoko.
And my favorite scene was losing Nonoko at the mall.
I just put question mark. But I'm just gonna say the scene whenever the family was watching the soap opera and the dad was outside in the snow. That shit was funny as hell.
Tim Curry plays the king. Okay, Kyle, this is already the best movie I've ever seen.
Among Us, the movie. Among Us, the movie is what this movie is, and what this movie in turn is Cat Returns. This movie is kind of like a fever dream, a good fever dream nonetheless, that just kind of feels like you just took edibles and decided to watch a movie. It definitely was a movie we watched.
So it is a spin-off of Whisper the Heart. By spin-off, I mean it just stars the character that wasn't even really a character in Whisper the Heart. He was a statue. And Anne Hathaway in the English dub. Thank you.
Yeah.
So basically the plot is Anne Hathaway, aka Haru. She sees a cat about to get run over in the street, so she saves it. And the cat stands up and says, "Thank you. I will reward you shortly." And she's like, "Oh, okay."
Just thinking about this is like, oh my, I vividly remember every single thing that happened now that you've said that.
So then she goes to sleep and she wakes up in the middle of the night to a noise outside. And there's a cat parade of cats walking down on 2 legs carrying a king who's got his eyes in 2 different time zones. And he's voiced by Tim Curry. And he says, "I will shower you with gifts. Here is a dead rat." They plant catnip in her front yard and she's allergic. Yeah. And so then they're like, "Okay, how about we take you to the cat kingdom and you can marry the prince?" And she's like, "What?"
There's like only one scene of her questioning her sanity.
Yeah.
And that kind of pisses me off a little bit because if I was in this situation, I'd be like, what the fuck is going on?
She goes and sees the Baron as well as this fat cat named Muta, who I love him so much.
The best character ever.
He's hilarious. So they're basically like, okay, don't worry, we're gonna figure this out. And the Baron's like, all right, have a cup of tea and I'll get this worked out. And then the cats just come and abduct her and take her to the cat kingdom. And this is where we start to become correct. She starts to turn into a cat. The king cat, still looking in left and right, is like, all right, you're gonna watch some dancing and you're gonna marry my son and it's gonna be cool. And, like, dancing happens, and Haru is just crying her eyes out. Like, what the, I'm turning into a cat. I don't want to be a furry. Help. They turn Muta into jelly.
Yeah, they fucking kill Muta by turning him into jelly. He doesn't really die, but...
No. The Baron comes to save her, and then the last, like, 30 minutes is them escaping through a hedge maze and climbing a tower.
Oh, and also, Haru wants to fuck Baron.
Yeah, she says, like, I didn't want to fall in love with a cat, but I think I might be in love with you. And I'm like, A, you're a child. B, that's a cat. C, no.
And then she blushes and does like the, you know, the average anime blush, you know?
It's a cat wearing a top hat voiced by Carrie Elways.
This movie is just a fever dream at its core, and like, I kind of love it, you know, but not really. It's kind of like a love-hate relationship, and I will only watch this if I'm like a couple beers deep. I don't really like beer, actually, so, you know.
I don't drink alcohol, but I feel like the only way to enjoy this movie is when you're simultaneously both drunk and high.
Yeah. Literally, whenever you have to show my favorite.
Yeah.
It's just Among Us. Like, I just put, what? Excuse me? Among Us? Question mark?
Your favorite character?
I don't have anything.
You didn't put your favorite
I
character
just put excuse me for both scene and favorite character.
I picked my favorite character as Muta, and my favorite scene was taking her to the Cat Kingdom, because I thought it was pretty creative how they, like, teleported in and out of stuff.
That's about it. Cat Returns is a great movie to watch when you're high. The ball parachutes! Or gliders.
Who made this?
Yeah! Woo! Kill them
Oh,
with
they're all
your
hairy.
sass. Balls. My favorite word. And the favorite thing used in this movie, Pompoko. Raccoon balls.
They're actually raccoon dogs.
Balls.
Pompoko is a very interesting movie. It is filmed as if it's a documentary. Documentary, like someone is filming animals, like, and now the animal will do this. So it's kind of like that. And it's about raccoons that can shapeshift. And they have to learn how to shapeshift in order to survive because their rainforest is being taken over or something. I don't know. Fern Gully, the movie, I guess.
This is also another acid trip movie.
Mr. Krabs plays a character.
Yeah.
It's Clancy Brown plays Gonta. And he just sounds like Mr. Krabs. Like, he hardly changed his voice.
Yeah.
Shut up! We raccoons from my part of the woods will attack with or without you.
Haley Joe Osment, I believe, is also in it as So Kichi. And it made me uncomfortable because they portrayed him as a child and then they literally showed him f***ing in one scene.
Yeah.
So
They get down and dirty.
yeah.
The whole point of this movie is it's supposed to be about, you know, raccoon dogs or whatever the hell they are. They can, like, shapeshift and stuff, and they're, like, scaring humans away because they're gonna make stuff and, you know, destroy the forest and blah, blah, blah. You know, this all sounds pretty normal, right? You know, your average anime, you know? And then they host a parade. They, like, transform into, like, weird shit. Transform into, like, giant skeletons and, like, and then they just host a parade in town to, like, prove that they're real. I don't really remember what happens after the parade. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Also, I messed up. It's not Haley Joel Osment. It's Jonathan Taylor Thomas. They're very similar, both stars of the 90s. The whole first part of the movie is we gotta train raccoons to shapeshift. Some can't, some can. So you gotta do what you can. And then they put on this giant parade. Full showstopper. It's an amazing scene. They have to shapeshift, and they use their pouches in the English dub. But it is their balls. The animation literally shows their balls at all times. Yeah. Little raccoon dog balls. So after the parade, after they shapeshift their balls, I'm like, cool. It's like an hour 15 in. Movie's pretty much done. The movie's 2 hours long.
It keeps going.
It keeps going. It's very similar to Yamada's. It just doesn't know when to stop. It had a very interesting ending where it's talking about how some raccoon dogs could not shapeshift, so they stayed and got hunted down and stuff. Some shapeshifted as humans and just lived that way. And I feel like if that was the movie, that'd be a lot more interesting. In a lot of Japanese mythology, foxes are also shapeshifting spirits. And
There's hot fox mommies. A lot of these early movies kind of just exist, and it's pretty hard to talk about.
It's the same guy as Grave of the Fireflies and Yamada's.
Yeah.
What is this man's?
We got child death, child balls, and child getting lost in the mall.
You definitely felt the time on
Yeah.
this one. You felt it. There were a couple showstoppers, like in the parade, our favorites, probably like our favorite tidbit in that part was they had a bunch of cameos of other characters. Like they're showing all the stuff they're shape-shifting into, and then all of a sudden Kiki flies by, and then Totoro.
Yeah.
Like they had a bunch of little cameos, and that was really cute. I liked that.
My favorite character was Mr. Krabs.
Mine was Sakichi, the Jonathan Taylor Thomas one.
Sagama. My favorite scene was the parade.
Mine was also the parade.
If you have any other opinion, then no.
For what this film did wrong, I put what in raccoon balls.
I just put strange on both yes and no.
But we have seen Stranger Things.
Like Strange World. Oh my god.
Okay, anyway.
Adventure for you.
You. Totoro.
Yay!
Very hot take, but you know, it is definitely a movie that has a plot that exists.
Plot is about as thin as this sheet of paper.
Yeah, Totoro is probably still the cutest Ghibli film, and you know, a movie about Totoro where Totoro is barely in the movie. I feel like this is one of the very few movies we've talked about so far that we actually just don't have to go in depth about. If you want to put it higher, sure, whatever, but I mean, no plot basically, and a little too happy. Because this came out right after Grave of the Fireflies.
Whiplash. We saw this in theaters at our studio. Was it the Ghibli Fest or the Flashback Cinema?
Well, it's technically Ghibli Fest.
Okay, so we saw it in theaters. Definitely, if you haven't seen any Ghibli film, you know who Totoro is.
Yeah.
Totoro is in it for maybe about 10 minutes.
I'd probably say a little bit
15 maybe. I don't know how
20
long
max.
it is.
20
He's
max.
really not in. Like, he doesn't even save the day. What he
Yeah.
does at the end when they lost the little girl, May, is he calls Cat Bus for Satsuki. That's his heroic triumph.
Cat Bus saves the day.
Yeah, I love Cat Bus. Cat Bus is like my favorite thing.
Yeah.
I got a purse with Cat Bus on it.
Yeah.
Basically, if I had to say the plot is these kids move into a new house with their dad. Their mom is sick. And mystical, whimsical Totoro shows up every once in a while and screams and plants trees. And they lose the girl at the last 10 minutes, so they call Cat Bus, and she goes to the mom and gives her corn. And then the movie's over. That's really the plot. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, what, an hour and a half or 2 hours? I don't even know.
I don't really remember.
You don't really feel the time, because
Yeah.
it's kind of cute, but you're always, like, waiting, like, when's Totoro gonna show up next?
Yeah.
And also, I need to have a little rant. I'm gonna show a poster on the screen right here. This is the poster you often see when you look at Totoro. That little girl is not in the movie. That is literally a combination of the two children, Mei and Satsuki. Like, that's not even a character in the movie. You just combined the Fanning sister.
Of course, yeah.
So my favorite character was Cat Bus.
My favorite character was the mini Totoros.
The little
the
guys.
The white one and the gray one, the mini ones with the little satchels. I got acorns for him, yeah.
And my favorite scene was them waiting for the bus.
And my favorite scene was either the flying scene or anytime May was in frog form. It does feel really weird to put Pompoko next to this in our next film, but like...
They're in the same tier, just there's a little space.
There is a big gap between Pompoko and Totoro, but like, we really just can't put it A tier with all of our other movies. You think going to go borrow stuff is kind of like going to Costco for them?
Think they get Grubhub?
They get DoorDash.
Borrower DoorDash. So I saw Arrietty in theaters, and for some reason it's listed as both Arrietty and The Secret World of Arrietty. Bridget Mendler from Good Luck Charlie plays Arrietty. This movie came out in 2010. So I saw this when I was either 8 or 9. There's a male character in the film, and he's basically, his whole thing is that his heart is like really weak or something, and he can't get really excited, otherwise he'll die. And he has like a really bleak outlook. It's like, you know, just life is gonna end and it's gonna suck. And I'm like, damn.
Relatable.
Yeah, but as a child, I had a crush on him. And I can't really explain why. I only saw this movie one time. But before we started this marathon, I'm like, I wonder how old he is. Make sure I can still have a crush on him. So I Googled it, and he's 12.
This is my first time seeing it. Yeah, I was going into it pretty blind. It actually has the complete opposite effect of most of the movies you talk about, on how it's actually too short. This world, it's supposed to be like, you know, tiny people. What are they called? Like
Borrowers.
Borrowers, yeah. It's supposed to be people about borrowers who go into the human world, borrow from the beings. Yes, they call humans beings. That's so funny. It's human beings. I love beans. They only take what they need. That's why they're called borrowers.
Me and my miniature obsession. I was like, I need...
Because the whole point of that dollhouse scene, I'll just go into it a little bit, was, you know, us humans just kind of see it as just, you know, like bland and like kind of normal, but like being that size, it looks like as a spectacle, and it's beautiful, and she wants it, and the dad's like, no, we only take what we need.
The dad's like, you can't take anything because we don't need it.
Yeah. I
kind of like that philosophy a little bit. So, yeah.
That's why they're called borrowers, not thieves. Arrietty decides to go out on her own and sees a little boy to her. It's like, humana. And then the boy's like, hey, I can keep your secret. And then the old villain, who, by the way, fucking sucks. She's ass. She feels like a Scooby-Doo villain. There's
a weird romance between Arrietty and Sho is his name.
Sho.
I think she's like 13 or 14 or something, and he's 12. So, like, you know, those are close in numbers. Like, also, he's about to die, and he's, like, normal size, and she's, like, this big. I definitely think that they were very creative when it came to how they move from one place to another. Arrietty's first borrowing is she takes a needle and she uses that as a sword, which she never ends up using ever in the film, but she parades it around like and they meet one other borrower, and his name is Spud Spiller. Thank you, Google. He thinks awooga for Arrietty too, but he like eats insect legs. Like,
yeah, he's like, that's not okay.
The dad is definitely a dad. I definitely get the dad vibe. Like, I have to protect my daughter. Like,
I love Pod. He's so epic.
Oh, and also, I just realized this. So I googled Arrietty characters on Google, and it's Sean in the English dub, so they changed his name. Okay, my favorite character was Sean, the boy.
Apparently mine was Frog Face McGee.
Yeah, my favorite scene was Arrietty's first borrowing.
Mine was the dollhouse. That shit looked crispy.
That was so cool.
It looked so crisp.
Secret World of Arrietty, aka Arrietty, is good. It just did not leave an impact on me. It was way too short.
Add like an extra like 20 minutes. Boom.
Yeah.
This movie's better.
That's why it's in good. You could probably move it to great, but just looking at the bottom of great, like I can't really put them next to each other. This one's more in vain with Totoro. Yeah. So, all right, now we're moving on to great tier. Never thought this movie would end with two children racing to go meet some ship captain before he left for war to find out if they're related or not. See if they can f*** or not.
Next movie is Puppy Hill at the bottom of our great tier. Philosopher Guy is the best written character to ever exist. Look, hear me out. You know Jin from Turning Red? This is just a younger Jin, a philosopher back in his good old high school days, spitting facts. And they destroyed his house. Fuck those guys. Fuck you. I'm getting a lawsuit. Okay, you can actually talk about the movie now.
Okay. So the plot is about this girl named Umi, which I cannot figure out her family dynamic. Like, she lives in a house with a bunch of other girls, and I think they're her siblings, but, like, I don't know. One looks like Velma. Her dad died at sea, but she still raises the flag every night just to, because they never found his body. So she knows her mom, but her mom's not always in town. Basically, the plot is there's this clubhouse of nothing but boys, and it's gonna get torn down. And so she's, like, she teams up with this boy named Shun, and she's like, okay, how about we clean up the clubhouse, we get everyone together, and we save it. And he's like, cool. So that's what the plot of the movie is. And then they start getting some romance, and I'm like, oh, wholesome, adorable. And then she shows him a picture of her father. She's like, this is my dad. And he's like, So he goes home, and he pulls out the same photograph. And so he's like, goes to her the next day, like, hey, this is my dad.
And then
like, oh, no.
Sweet Home Alabama starts playing. However, that's the driving point of the plot. Actually, there's like 2 plots going on.
Yeah.
One plot is, will they or won't they be able to and then the other plot is saving the clubhouse.
So basically, they kind of avoid each other for a while. And like,
it's very sad, actually.
Yeah, it's kind of sad.
Some genuine sad moments.
It's like, damn it, I can't fuck him. It's my brother. And so then the mom comes home, and Umi's like, listen, I'm kind of crushing this guy, but it turns out I think he's my brother. And she's like, well, I got a story to tell you. She's like, actually, your father brought this kid home because it was his friend's child, but like the friend died. So, no, it's not. They're not actually related. And she's like, yes! And we're like, yes, they can And then the mom's like, well, actually, does he look like your dad? And she's like, he could have lied. So then the last part of the movie is a race to try to see this guy in a boat because he knows the answer. So they're running and biking and trying to get to this boat. Like, can we And the guy's like, okay, you're not actually his kid, so you're not related. They're like, yeah!
Woo, we can
Luca. Bueno. Piñu. Bueno. Piñu. Bueno.
So that is the most tense will they won't they ever. Okay, now you can talk about the other part of the
Hey,
plot.
the clubhouse is not as interesting. It really is just them trying to save the clubhouse. There are some pretty cool scenes though where they like clean it up and and then funny enough, the trio of will they won't they duo plus the boyfriend of the will they won't they boy version. I don't know. He just kind of shows up.
Third character.
He's at the third wheeling around town.
Ron
they actually
Weasley.
go all the way up to Tokyo to get the guy in charge of taking it down. It's like, hey, squad, don't be doing this shit. And they're like, oh, he's like, oh, okay, I won't. And then he pulls up to the clubhouse and is like, it ain't that bad. And then they start like cleaning it and like, yeah, Philosopher Guy's got his own tent. I like Philosopher Guy. He's my favorite character. Yeah, it's basically just saving the clubhouse so they don't get destroyed. And everyone else is doing that besides will they won't they because they're running to the boat.
So, this is also Goro Miyazaki, and this is the best of the 3, which I think is because his dad wrote the script.
Yeah,
Hayao Miyazaki wrote the script.
Yeah.
It's not half bad. It's just, it was pretty uncomfortable for part of it. Yeah.
My favorite character is Philosophy Guy.
Mine was Shun the Boy.
My favorite scene was Philosophy Guy.
My favorite scene was when they first entered the clubhouse, which includes the first meeting the Philosophy Guy. Okay.
Poppy Hill.
It's an adorable Little Mermaid adaptation where the Little Mermaid basically only says ham. She develops a cult-like obsession with ham. Ponyo is adorable. And it's a retelling of The Little Mermaid, and they're both 5. So, fun fact, her first name is actually Brunhilde. Ponyo likes ham. Ponyo loves Sosuke.
Simple-minded.
Yeah, they're 5. My only complaints was that towards the end when there's actually, like, real danger in this world, like there's a tsunami happening and everything's underwater, there's no real stakes. Like, no one really seems to even care. Like, oh no, our entire world's flooded. Anyway.
Yeah, there's ancient creatures from all the way back in the past. It'll be fine.
It's fine. It's alright. Like, that's my only real complaint about it. There's no real stakes.
Yeah. Now, I have to explain a little theory I have. This is what I call the Ponyo theory. And it's basically how I look at movies now. It's a scale. You know, Ponyo is a movie with phenomenal characters, absolute hard carrying this movie, but with a very simple story, which is like here. And this one is called the Ponyo effect, where you have amazing characters, adorable, cute, lovable characters, but a okay plot, so you get a pretty good movie. With Totoro, you have phenomenal characters, but barely a plot at all, so you just get an okay, good movie. So this is what will be the reference for every movie after Ponyo from 2008 onward, which is not very many movies left. Ponyo's the best thing to ever grace the cinema, and if this ever comes to theaters, I'm watching it.
It's so cute.
I will pay however much money. I will sell my kidney for it. This is probably my #1 Ghibli film I want to see in theaters. The visuals in this movie are like Spirited Away level.
And I'm sorry, but at least in my book, Ponyo's dad does not count as a DILF.
No, yes he does.
He's not a DILF.
Yes,
I'm
he
sorry.
is.
Not to me.
But he makes your list.
By default.
Exactly.
I do like one other thing about how the father is always, like, Sosuke's dad is always out at sea, and so they have to use the Morse code to signal him, and the mom is always mad that, like, he's not coming home, so Sosuke's like, I love you, Dad, hitting with the Morse code, and the dad's like, tell your mom I love her too, and the mom goes over and is like, bug off!
And then Mommy Ponyo, if we don't just put a big image of her here, because she's very big. Anyways, my favorite character, I just put yes. I really couldn't choose one character. I genuinely couldn't.
I put Ponyo.
Yeah. And my favorite scene was Ponyo's mom swimming in the ocean whenever she was at the moon. The one, not because it looked cool. Yes, big boob, ha ha, funny, boobs, Drake and Josh. It looked cool. Okay, it's the one time I'm choosing a scene with boobs, not because of the boobs.
Sure.
Boobs.
My favorite scene was Ponyo's escape from the bubble after her dad put her in there. Like how the sisters helped her get out. It was so cute. She grew hands. She's like, I have hands. Ham. Okay, moving.
Also, there's a part where literally she says ham, and then the next line she says is also ham. She just says ham twice, and it's hilarious.
Thank you, Noah Cyrus.
Thank you for saying ham twice and also singing the song that apparently was my #1 listen song this whole year. The Ponyo theme song. I'll send Liz an image to show here, but it was my #1 played song of the year.
Ponyo on a cliff by the sea.
Yeah.
Ponyo, 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 fishy in the sea. Tiny little fishy, who could you really be?
Come on, you're not so mad at me, are you? Listen, we're gonna have...
Hey, you have a delivery to go do.
At the club,
The aviation club. And we really
to
like
quote Key and Peele, ain't none of y'all old enough to go to the damn club.
The Aviation Club.
Kiki's Delivery Service. I had never seen this one, but I'd heard a lot about it. Kiki and Gigi are adorable, and I love the little bow in her hair, and I love that Gigi is Phil Hartman. I love the supportive mother figure that basically takes Kiki in, and I love the himbo, her husband.
It's just called Bakery Worker.
Yeah, he
That's
doesn't
his
even have a name.
It's just Bakery Worker.
Yeah, the only thing that I wasn't really a fan of was Tombo is kind of weird.
Very strange.
The boyfriend character, he's dressed exactly like a Julia from Luca.
Yeah.
So he's a little weird. Like, just give me some space. It's okay.
Yeah.
I don't really know you. And also, what are the rules? I didn't really understand like how this world works exactly. Like when you're a witch and you turn 13, you just like leave your family forever, and there can only be one witch in a town.
It's not that hard. You literally just said the rules.
I know, but at the same time, like, there's only a certain amount of towns.
Yeah.
And also, she's a child.
I watched Kiki's a lot as a child because, you know, my other sister, my actual sister, used to love this movie. She still does. I still love this movie. It's still great. We cosplayed as it for Halloween. Well, we just kind of dressed up as it. I did a I was Kiki.
I was the cat.
Gigi. Yeah. It's a good movie. I mean, there's really not much to say about it besides it's very wholesome and it has a plot. It has a plot and it has decent characters. So the Ponyo effect states that it's this high.
Literally, just the plot is she runs a delivery service at a bakery.
Yeah. She gets that bread, and literally and figuratively. And
then she saves Tombo because an aircraft crashed at the end of the movie.
And then Kiki gets depressed because she loses her powers and has to have a talk with a lady in the woods.
Yeah, she loses her powers for a while. Gigi stops being able to talk to her, and Gigi gets a girlfriend. He kind of f***s off anyway. But then after she gets her powers back, Gigi still can't talk.
Yeah.
What are the rules?
Well,
I don't understand.
He doesn't want to talk anymore because he's a normal cat now. He has kids. Not remember the baby Gigi's? Those things are adorable. And you can't tell me they aren't.
My favorite character was Kiki.
I just put Maki, but that was me guessing someone's name. I'm just gonna go with Ursula, the lady in the woods.
There's no character named Maki.
Yeah, Ursula could beat my ass, so.
And my favorite scene was when Kiki was baking with those old ladies, because that was super wholesome.
And mine was the cabin in the woods, whenever they were just staring at that painting, and Kiki was like, what the f*** is this shit?
It's like, it's supposed to be you, and I'm like, that looks nothing like Kiki.
Well, it's all about perspective. Anyways,
Still look nothing like Kiki. Okay.
That's Kiki's delivery service.
Yay. Michael f***ing Keaton?
That's Michael Keaton.
It's Michael Keaton!
Huh. I knew I noticed that voice from somewhere. Porco Rosso. The movie for the boys. This movie is single-handedly probably either the funniest or the second funniest Ghibli film, because it's a very funny concept of a pig bounty hunter. The movie starts with some bandits kidnapping some girls, and it's funny as shit because the girls are just f***ing around.
Now, girls, this is not a playground. Hey, can't you shut them up? I told you that we shouldn't have taken them all. Ah!
And it's the most cute thing ever. What happens is they have planes that are like kind of like ships as well.
They're seaplanes.
Yeah, seaplanes. They take the girls, and the girls are like, haha. They're just making fun of the bandit. It's funny as shit. The hero Porco shows up, it's like raga raga.
You're doing a really bad job at this.
And it's played by the guy that plays Batman.
Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton. And then he saves the girls, and the girls f*** around a Porco. It's like, why are you a pig? And he's like, oink.
They don't really explain exactly why he's a pig. I mean, they kind of do that, like he escaped from a fight,
Yeah.
he fled, then he just became a pig and he's cursed or something. His real name is Marco Pagot.
Pagot.
So, him being a pig is kind of a side note in the movie.
Yeah. It's not really, because, like, he still gets bitches, bro.
So his plane gets wrecked by Donald Curtis, the American, and is also played by Carrie Elway.
Yeah.
So he has to go to Italy, where he is banned from, and
he ran away from the
Air Force.
The Air Force, yeah.
And so he meets Piccolo, who's played by David Ogden Stiers. He only has girls working for him because all
Yeah.
the guys are at war. And so Porco's just like, what the hell is this? Why are there a bunch of girls?
Time to bake a cake. Porco's the most Giga Chad energy. He just starts like, F these girls, you know? Yeah, like a real man. Roar. And then Fio shows up and is like, hey, I fixed that plane for cheap. And he's like, oh, okay. And then he's like, oh my god, she's so hot. But then she's like
17.
17.
And he's like 36
Yeah.
or something.
I mean, he doesn't like go awooga.
She does.
She does, though.
She like kisses him and stuff. And I'm just like,
Porco
ugh.
doesn't like stop it, but he is kind of like, you
He's
know,
a little
hey,
uncomfortable.
He's like, hey, you know, I got my girls back at home.
He's very much in love with Gina, played by Meg from Hercules.
Yeah.
The ending.
The fist fight, yeah.
They have a plane fight, and the thing is, Donald is trying to kill Porco,
Yeah.
because currently what's on the list is all the money that Porco owes versus Fio.
Yeah.
So, like, that's what they're both betting.
Because
And-
Donald wants Fio to like marry, kiss.
She's still 17.
Yeah.
Porco is basically like, I won't kill him. I'll just destroy his plane. But Donald's like, I'm gonna kill you,
I'm gonna
goddammit.
kill your ass.
Donald runs out of ammo. Porco's gun is jammed, so they just land the planes and then just start fist fighting.
I think they go on for like 7 rounds.
Yeah.
And they're both just all bloody and gushy, and then love interest shows up. Is like, hey, you stop.
Police are coming, so you gotta
Yeah.
leave. And then the ending I kind of like, because they show everyone leaving, and then they don't show Porco's face, and Donald just says, what's with your face? We don't know if it's because he was beaten up so badly in the fight or if he turned back human again. We don't know, and I kind of like that.
And Donald's not really the villain. He's just kind of an American.
He's just kind of a
He's in America and Italy. My favorite character were the pirates because they were so funny. Because they show up again at the end fight and they kind of like hail Fia as like a queen, and it's so funny.
My favorite character was Porco.
And my favorite scene actually was the pig flashbacks whenever all the planes went up to the sky. That's the stars.
My favorite scene was the pirates holding the little girls hostage in the beginning because that was so funny. Like the plane crashes and the girl's like, "Yay, swimming!"
Yeah, and they just jump into the water and the pirates are
like, "Get back here!" Oh my god, it's the cutest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life, Kyle. I need 5 of them. So, Nausicaa of the Valley of the Winds. Before we actually start talking about the movie, I need to make 2 little errors. This was the first one we watched. This technically isn't a Ghibli film, quote unquote, because if you search up Studio Ghibli and you go to the Wikipedia page, it won't include this, but it will include the Red Turtle. But if you look up list of Ghibli films and go to Wikipedia, it includes this, but not the Red Turtle. Oops. We're just gonna include it anyway. It was made before Ghibli was actually a thing, but it was made by the same people, so who cares? So next is, we accidentally watched this in Japanese.
Yeah.
There was an English dub, but I was watching on HBO Max and I didn't know how to change the language yet, so that means we missed out on seeing Shia LaBeouf play the love interest.
Damn it!
The other thing is that before we watched it, we didn't know how to pronounce Nausicaa's name, so I used a random name generator and I got Josephina Yorick, so that's what we called her for a while.
Well, that's what she called. I could say it perfectly fine.
You called her Nausicaa.
Yeah, because it looks like Nausicaa.
It's Nausicaa.
You're Nausicaa.
Shut up!
This movie's great. It's great. It's just about a girl wanting to save her town from omnipotent beings that she finds cute.
They're adorable.
The Ohms.
They're so cute.
They're really not. They're
adorable.
not adorable.
Yes, they are.
Really, I'll just say what I don't like about the movie. The beginning starts a little slow, and then for whatever reason, they decided to put 80s musics in it. Like, just a high, like, 808s and, like, you know...
Synth waves,
and it just felt very off.
It does not fit.
It doesn't fit whatsoever. But the characters are just kind of, like, good, in my opinion, just because... You don't really get to see much of them. You only get to see Nausicaa, then love interest, and then all the other ones.
He only shows up in the last half.
Yeah. And everyone else is a side character and is specified as a side character.
One thing I do really like about this is that Nausicaa is the princess of this location. It's an apocalyptic world where everything is like, the air is deadly. You breathe in for too long, you're gonna die. And there's these spores that transmit the air and makes it toxic, and they spread fast. And the entire world is filled with these giant bugs. So Nausicaa has this one location where it's the Valley of the Wind, and it's perfectly safe. And this princess does goddamn anything to protect her people.
Yeah.
She gets shot multiple times, and she's like 16, I think. Yeah. She goes and tries to take down an entire plane that's crashing, tries to just divert it away from her people, using only a small little, like, glider thing against a giant plane.
And then a little whistle thing.
She uses, like, this sound thing, because she doesn't want to kill any of the giant creature, the Ohms, because they're okay. They're peaceful as long as they don't, like, get the rage and they're evil. Yeah. So she just wants to, like, calm them down and send them back on their way, because you can't really kill them either. So what she does is she uses this little tool that she just spins around and it makes a noise. And for some reason, that noise just hurt my ears really bad.
It kind of feels like someone just put up one of those noise frequency things and just turned it on and just kept it on. That's what it kind of sounded like. But I mean... The movie's great. Go watch it.
Yeah, climax was outstanding. Like, Nausicaa just could not catch a break.
Oh, bro, don't even get me started about the villains, bro. We got a much better Gaston and Hot Mommy. Oh yeah.
They spent this whole movie like about this egg that they're gonna hatch, and there's a giant creature, and apparently these creatures are what destroyed the world.
Yeah.
And so like we're gonna big this, and it's gonna kill all the Ohms at the end. And then the thing just rises up and it just like kills like 4 of them and then just dies.
Yeah, it just dies because they brought it up too early.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like the Titans from Attack on Titan. You know, you weebs watching this.
The last thing I must mention is She has a fox squirrel.
Yeah, this is the spawn of the fox
It's
squirrel.
adorable.
Literally
It's
after this movie, while the credits are going, fill out our paper, Liz whips out her phone, goes to eBay, is like, fox squirrel, orders it all the way from Japan, and it's like, okay, I bought one. I was like, bought what? And she's like, fox squirrel. I was like, what?
And it took forever to
Dude,
get
it took
here.
like a month
But
and
I
a half
have my
to get
Tito.
here.
I have him. I love, or Tito, whatever.
It doesn't matter.
It's so cute. It's a fox squirrel.
Anyways, my favorite character is Kushana. I don't know how to say her name.
Kushana.
The villain, Kushana. I'm just gonna say Kushana.
Yeah.
Because she was hot. And she has missing limbs and she could beat my ass still.
My favorite character was Tito.
My favorite scene was actually training Tito, whatever, because he was like, hey, fuck off. He's like, oh, okay.
My favorite scene was the climax, which just never seemed to end, but it was like so brutal, and you felt every little injury she got.
And the little song.
La 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 la
Yeah.
la
Yeah. I only watched it once and it was in Japanese, so. You know.
Shia LaBeouf.
Shia LaBeouf!
What the
Get a load of this Sheeta. Last movie, Nausicaa and this movie are kind of like tied at the hip. That's why they're right next to each other. And the movie's Castle in the Sky. Because both the movies kind of fulfill different things, but kind of feel the same. It's basically in a sense that Nausicaa is a lot more serious, and then this movie's a lot more funny. But then, like, kind of fulfill the same role of, like, just the same kind of plot line, almost. It's pretty hard to explain after not watching the movie after a while. She wants to talk a lot about this movie, because there's also fox squirrels in this movie.
There's a fox squirrel
And
in
an
it!
iron giant.
There's a fox squirrel. He was this castle in the sky, even though he's in it for like 4 seconds.
This movie actually is what, like, Atlantis was based off of. But it really shows, because, like, this movie is an amulet. You gotta put it in the thing. You gotta do the powers. It's exactly like Atlantis.
The giant creatures.
The giant creatures protecting your home. Movie.
Disney Atlantis, I should preface.
No, the real Atlantis. You ever watch
There's
that
a bunch
movie?
of Atlantis movies, Kyle. So basically, Princess Sheeta falls out of a plane in the first movie, and then she floats slowly down from the sky. So this child, Patsu, is like,
What if I caught her?
So he takes her to the house, and I should also preface that the voice actors for these two characters in the English dub, like, they don't sound like children, and also Sheeta cannot decide on an accent.
Yeah.
I don't know if she's English or American.
Yeah.
She can't pick. So basically, Patsu's like, huh, that's pretty cool. Can I borrow this necklace?
Get a load of this. Watch. Here we go.
I'm okay. I don't have any injuries whatsoever. I don't even have dirt on my face.
Patsu is the indestructible man.
Like, there's a point in the movie where he gets shot in the face.
Okay, he
and
doesn't get shot in the face.
They aim for his face, and he just gets this tiniest little, like... It
He
looks
gets a
like...
little graze.
Yeah. But,
Homie
like,
activated his ultra instinct.
no matter where you tilt your face, I don't think there's any way that it can just... But, they're being chased by Elton John.
Yeah, basically.
He looks like
yeah.
Elton John, played by Mark Hamill. They don't really reveal much of him until later, and I wish they did, because he wasn't really that interesting up until the end.
Yeah.
And also, they're being chased by these pirates, who are hilarious.
Oh yeah, mommy pirate.
They're funny. They started as actual villains in the beginning, but, like, it's clear that they're actually, like, just one big family, and they want to adopt these two children. They're like, you're mine now, thank you. But the other thing that's a little weird is that Sheeta, when they're on the pirate ship, is they're just like, Sheeta's just cleaning stuff and making dinner, and one of the pirates comes like, I love you! Like,
Yeah,
she's
they
still like
go-
12. There's also a scene where Sheeta and Patsu are up in, like, the crow's nest of this flying pirate ship, and they're just having a conversation just about life and how everything's, like, you know, pretty tough. And then it just cuts to the pirates and the pirate mommy just being able to hear everything through these, like, little vocal things on the side. They're just like, tell me more.
What those little shits?
Make out.
Yeah, that's basically what they were doing.
The pirates didn't really have much to do in the climax.
Yeah.
But I feel like that the reveal that the villain guy was also, like, Sheeta, and that they used to rule this castle. The villain is trying to use this castle in the sky to destroy the entire world. It's pretty intense, and it ends really nice, and I think this is top 5 for me, favorite Ghibli movies.
Yeah.
Favorite character was Patsu.
Mine was mommy pirate.
My favorite scene was just the whole thing of them being on the pirate ship.
Yeah,
it was
mine
all
the
hilarious.
crow's nest.
This is so funny.
Anyways,
Moving.
Fortnite Battle Pass.
Shut the up. No, they're not gonna go this f***ing road, are they?
Marnie's
Her grandma. No!
Anna is
No!
flabbergasted.
Marnie!
Mario!
Shut up!
Puss in
Marnie! Basically, the plot is that Anna is depressed. And
Yeah.
I think they handled the depression really well. As somebody who has depression, I think it was handled relatively
Fat
well.
pig.
She, like, yells at this one girl. Basically, the girl is just trying to be nice, but, like, she's definitely pushing a bit too hard, and Anna just snaps, and she's like, you fat pig, or something like that.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was actually handled relatively well, because, like, when you're overwhelmed and stressed, and, like, you just leave me the f*** alone! She's in this new location. She's staying with her aunt and uncle, I believe. She goes to the beach, and she's this beautiful old abandoned house. There's this little blonde girl up there, and she's like, hi, my name's Marnie. Do you want to hang out? She's super friendly, and Anna's like, yes. Like, she's definitely flirting. It's
Yeah.
100%. And, like, she goes over to her house, and they, like, hang out, and they go to a party, and they dance together, and, like, they share secrets and stuff. But no one else seems to know that she's there. No one else seems to understand. And someone else is living in that house.
Yeah.
This little girl. And she finds a diary. She's like, it was written by someone named Marnie. We find out later that that's actually her grandmother. And her grandmother cared for Anna when she was a child. And then she just died of old age or something like that.
Basically what the movie is Anna reliving her grandma's life. You know, seeing Marnie doing blah blah blah. Towards the end of the movie, the Marnie starts to like say wrong names and like referring to Anna as different people, showing that it's just kind of a memory.
It's really sad because then she has to say goodbye to this memory of her grandmother and the love that she had, question mark.
I'll just go ahead and state the obvious no of this movie. Why is it the grandma? It's kind of weird because, like, during the movie, you know, it's clearly showing that Anna wants it. She wants it, bro. She's the gayest Ghibli character ever by a landslide.
She's definitely a lesbian. Like, it's not even a
And
question.
That's the biggest what of this movie.
Once it's all revealed, it's a lot more wholesome. But just like that during reveal, I'm like,
Okay. It's another part of why she's so depressed is because, like, you know, she was, you know, fooling around, looking around, and she find the check that she got, that her aunt got for taking care of her, and she's like in her mind, like, damn, she's only taking care of me because she's getting paid for it.
She's a foster child.
And that really, like, just hits Anna, and it's like, damn, bro, that hurts.
Yeah, because Anna's a foster child.
Yeah.
And, like, I believe that the grandmother took care of her because the mother was unfit or something.
Yeah.
And then the grandma died, and so she was put into foster care.
Yeah.
And she felt upset because she's like, I'm a foster child. They're receiving money to take care of me. Is that the only reason that they care for me?
Yeah.
So, like, it's super sad.
Yeah.
She opens up so much by the end of the movie, and, like, it's
great.
really wholesome. I love it. Are
My
we
favorite
good?
character was Anna.
Mine was also Anna.
She probably goes through one of my favorite character arcs ever.
Yeah.
My favorite scene, I just put yes. I just because there's a lot of good looking scenes. It's the one where I just actually can't pick one.
Yeah, I picked Marnie and Anna talking about the secrets about the foster system. But, like, I could also mention the one in the tower, because I felt like that was actually the only hint that she was really a ghost. Because, like, Anna's like, we gotta go to this tower, and it'll be fine. And Marnie's like, I'm really scared. Like, they send me up there when I do something bad. And then, like, she gets really scared, and so Anna helps her get out. But then she has a kind of a flashback to an actual boy.
To a dude.
Helping her out, and that becomes her grandfather.
Yeah.
Like, something like that.
Very big brain.
Yeah.
Gay. Or who wanted to have sex on the plane. It's either one of them.
Wanted to suck a plane. The Wind Rises is basically two movies in one. One is a masterpiece. The other is something about I couldn't give a shit.
Having sex with planes.
So this is inspired by a true story of Jiro Horikoshi. It's basically the story of him, and he was the guy who designed the planes that would eventually attack Pearl Harbor. So this movie was relatively controversial when it first came out. The first half of the movie talks about him as a child and him as kind of an adult working and just designing planes. And they go around, and there's this little short guy as boss named Mr. Kurikawa, who's the best thing ever. They're basically going around, it's like, this is a plane, and that's a plane, and this is exactly how a plane works. And planes and planes and planes and planes and planes and planes, and I want to fuck the plane.
It's a lot bigger words. It's
Yeah.
just, we could not really give two shits.
I do think that they handled that, the fact that he knows he's making weapons for war, but he doesn't care because all he wants to do is make something beautiful. He finds planes beautiful. That's just his passion. He knows they're going to kill people, but that's not even the top of his priority list. He just wants to make a plane.
But the weight becomes the big problem. One solution would be we could leave out the guns. So I decided to put this design back on the shelf.
Then, the movie takes a sharp turn.
We meet a Wooga lady. Nako. And let me tell you, if you think Carl and Ellie are adorable, you ain't seen shit. Because basically what happens, main character guy finds Ducko and she's like dying. She has a disease, tuberculosis, and she's like actually just dying. But he doesn't give a shit. He's like, you're mine, and you love me, and I love you. And there's a scene where they shoot a paper airplane back and forth, and it's the best thing to ever exist.
I really love how Mr. Kurikawa just became, like, started as just, like, angry, short businessman, to, like, okay, this guy and his sick wife, you guys can come into this house, but, like, you're not married, so you can't sleep in the same room. So how about I just marry you two?
Yeah.
How about we just do that? And they're like, cool, let's do that.
Let's get to it. And she looks beautiful, and she literally can barely walk. But like, oh my, like it's actually just peak fiction. It's hard to explain.
They do fuck. I will let you. They do fuck.
They
She's
do
like
fuck.
dying over here, and he's like, "I'm not gonna expect anything. You, I know it's our wedding night, but like, you're." She's like, "Get over here."
And she initiates it. Actually,
Get your ass.
The second half's kind of a little overwhelming, considering the first half we have to sit through, because it's so rich, and there's still planes. However, they kind of dumb it down because he still loves to do it, but he just wants to get it done so he can go spend time with his wife. She starts to get like self-conscious and thinking about like, hey, because he starts working from home, like making planes and like designing them, just to be with her. And she starts like thinking like, hey, he's doing all this stuff just for me, and I kind of feel a little shitty. You know, this isn't right. He should be doing what he loves, which she doesn't understand. What he loves is her. So she decides to go back, and he's like, where the fuck's my wife? And then it's assumed that she dies. She actually does. How do I explain the scene?
He has an idol the whole time. It's another plane manufacturer or something. And so he goes into like these hallucinations, I guess, dreams about where he's talking to the guy. So he goes at the end to like this location of all these other planes, and just he knows what his planes have done. He's kind of like getting into terms with that. Like they show all the planes that have been destroyed in war, and like this is the realm. This is like heaven, sort of.
Yeah.
But
then he doesn't care. Yeah. He sees his wife up there painting a picture, and he ignores literally everything and goes to her. And then I don't really remember what she says, but then she just fades. And bro, I want to slam this desk so hard. Bro, the first like 45-ish minutes, it's like, it's a movie, you know, if you really like planes. But then just the second half is just like, actually would be the #1 movie if it was the movie the entire time.
Yeah. So yeah, 2 different movies, just the first 45 minutes. You can do it. Just go through it.
Power through it, and you will actually be watching cinema.
Yeah.
Anyways, my favorite character was Kurikawa.
That was also mine.
And my favorite scene is the end scene, whenever she fades off, and bro.
Mine was the wedding. She was so pretty.
She was so, and like Kurikawa's wife was like helping her get all pretty and shit. And it's
they were like, oh my gosh, she's beautiful, and he had to help her sit down.
We're not even to the saddest movie yet.
This I remember from my childhood. This is what I wanted my Prince Charming to be. Fly me above the city.
Next is a movie that, you know, I never watched, but she really loves. It's, you know, The Shirt.
My shirt.
Howl's Moving Castle. I have this movie bottom vest here just because I kind of feel with it more and I can kind of forgive some of the weaker stuff. But she's going to go on a rant in a bit, so I'm just going to do short and sweet. Howl and Sophie are really close to the #1 couple. It's just, you're not beating Wind Rises. No way. I feel like their chemistry together is funny in like a very cute way, on how he's kind of like an edgy teen and she's kind of like the mom and in like her grandma form. Markle, you're very close to Ponyo in terms of cuteness. This is also another Ghibli baby where I think everyone has at least seen images of it.
It's Josh Hutcherson. He's a baby.
And he's so happy whenever Sophie comes in and actually cooks him food. He's like, oh, we actually have something besides cheese and bread.
Yay.
And it's cute. Anyways, now you can go. I just want to talk about Markle.
Howl is...
Yeah, this is one of the very few characters she can bang.
Because he's like the only one that's over 18. I only like Howl after he gets out of edgy teen mode from the beginning. Because like in the beginning he's like, what are you doing over here? I'm like, eh. And then he's like, all right, everyone, we're ready to do. I'm like, yeah!
Yeah, himbo! Woo!
Himbo! Basically, the movie is Sophie is a girl who is very not confident in herself. She thinks herself is ugly. She's very shy. And we're in this world where there's witches and wizards and like they'll eat you if you try to, I don't know. The rules are a little fuzzy in this one. That's kind of why it's a little lower. Basically, the Witch of the Waste shows up, the evil one, and she turns Sophie into an old woman and she can't talk about it. Sophie goes and finds the castle and decides to work there as a maid. She starts to fall in love with Howl, and so basically she's trying to break her curse, also trying to break Howl's curse, which a lot of people complain about Sophie's curse, like, why does she keep turning old and then young, and like, it doesn't make any sense, and it's like, it's tied to her confidence. God damn it, it's not that difficult. Howl's curse is confusing.
Yeah. Why did you eat a falling star?
Yeah, his whole curse is that, like, he ate a shooting star when he was a child. His heart became a thing of fire voiced by Billy Crystal.
Yeah.
And he turns into a bird.
And that's just magic powers. That's not the curse.
No, that's his curse.
Well, a lot of other people could do it as well. It wasn't just him.
No, that was his curse because he's, like, getting more monstrous and, like, he can't come out of that
just because he kept doing it.
Like, I don't... That's the one problem I have with this. The rules are not very clear. What I like is how slice of life it feels.
Yeah.
Like, it never... Like, there is one overarching plot. There's a war going on, and Howl doesn't want to fight for this one bitch. But the Witch of the Waste is, like, not really even the main antagonist. She, like, halfway through the movie, she, like, becomes this really, really old woman who, like, is really sweet, actually. Yeah, we get the dog, Heen, who I love him so much. He's this big floppy thing, and he's really heavy. Yeah, he's floppy.
Yeah.
And he's really heavy and fat, and all he does is... We also have the one and only Turnip Head.
Exactly. My king, the Drip Lord himself.
Yeah, basically. So this war is happening because the prince is missing.
Yeah.
And so Sophie, she's first wandering off into the waste after she becomes an old woman. She finds a scarecrow, and she's like, your head's a turnip.
I don't like turnips.
Yeah, I think turnips suck. Anyway, the scarecrow actually can move around, and he comes around and helps them sometimes. And then towards the end of the film, after, like, the climax has happened, they go back in time or something. Doesn't really matter. Turnip Head sacrifices the wooden stick to save them from falling. And so she's like, thank you, Turnip Head. She gives him a little kiss. And then he just turns into the prince, and he's like, true love's kiss would break the spell. And Sophie's like, I like Howl. And he's like,
I'm so happy they don't go, like, they use the trope, but they don't go down it.
So then, like, Heen sends a message to the leader queen or something.
The wizard queen,
The wizard queen, and like, he's like, look, the prince is back. And she's like, oh, shit. Oh, I guess the war's over.
Yeah, we can stop nuking them now.
Turnip Head was the reason for the whole war.
Turnip Head's my king, bro. He might be a prince and everyone's else are, but he's my king. My favorite character was Turnip Head.
Mine was Heen. My favorite scene was when Sophie and the Witch of the Waste were climbing the stairs, because that was hilarious.
I just put Turnip. I mean, there are a lot of good scenes, so I like the skywalking, her just crying in the rain, Markle, every scene of him.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty, now
on to masterpieces.
Woo!
Oh my fucking god!
Kids film.
I love how Disney's like, yep, we gotta dub this. So, first on our masterpiece, or at least my masterpiece,
It's
tier.
still in my masterpiece.
You've
not
got.
first.
I said first. In
You know what? You're first. And getting no himbos. Princess Mononoke.
Princess Mononoke. My first and only complaint is that her name is Mononoke one time, and then they just call her San.
San.
They don't even call her Mononoke. I'm a sucker for horror films and gore, so this film satisfied my cravings. This movie earns its PG-13 rating. This ain't for the kiddies no more.
Yeah.
The ladies were hilarious from Irontown. I loved the fantasy aspect of it, like the creature of the woods, that thing, the forest spirit, whose face scares me. The climax, one of the most beautiful things Ghibli has done in terms of visual spectacle thing.
So this movie is not one you show the kiddies, you know? You know, this is not like Ponyo, Totoro, Yamadas, you know. This is bloody and I drown a crocodile in my own blood type stuff. Okay, so basically our dear friend Ashitaka, he gets attacked by a bear. He got infected with rage. That's what it is. And then, you know, you could just cut the arm off, but, you know, he needs his powerful abilities from it because he can crunch people's arms with his bare fist. It's basically him going on a journey to figure out what the fuck is doing this shit. And he learns out that there's Irontown, where they make iron and make guns, basically. And it's run by Queen Mamacita. And
Lady Eboshi.
Yeah. She's hot, so...
Lady Eboshi's not really a villain. She's an antagonist, but she's not really a villain.
Yeah.
She kind of changes her ways a little bit.
And we meet the Princess Mononoke. They don't really fall in love at first sight. They actually don't even really fall in love at all until like the middle of it. And this movie is epic. It's a spectacle to behold. This movie is perfect in any way you want it to be, besides a couple small things.
And there's a bit of suspension of disbelief with this kind of movie because it opens up with Prince Ashitaka shooting an arrow at some guy and his arms fly off. Like that's the kind of suspension you're gonna have to deal with when it comes to this movie. So when like a lot of things happen, they just happen, and you just kind of have to accept that fact.
Yeah.
And also there was Keith David played a boar, and I loved the boar. And that scene of him like turning into a demon, like that was so like tense and graphic and crazy, and I was just like, I was on the edge of my seat like the whole time, like, oh, this is
gritty.
So my favorite character was all the ladies from Irontown. They're kind of like one unit anyway.
Yeah,
they're very funny.
My favorite character is my wife, Eboshi.
Okay,
call me.
And my favorite character was the Keith David boar turning into a demon. That's actually what I wrote.
You mean your favorite scene?
Yes, scene. My favorite scene was Keith David boar. I mean, he's also probably my second favorite character, I'm being honest.
My favorite scene was my wife.
Your wife what? What about your wife?
This movie. This movie. This movie. It's not even over yet.
Oh, I'm looking at a 3-year-old child's dead body. Grave of the Fireflies opens with 2 children having starved to death and reuniting with each other in the afterlife. This seems like it's gonna be a happy film for the whole family. Then we flash back to find out what happened and how this 13-year-old boy and his 3-year-old sister, how they ended up dying in the middle of World War II. God damn it! Yeah, we cried. Both of us cried. So basically, these kids move in with their aunt because they're their father is out fighting in the war and the mom had just died. And the aunt is just like, yeah, you guys can come in, it's totally fine. And like there's a couple scenes of them just chilling and hanging out, and all of a sudden the aunt's like, gosh, I can't believe you're such burdens. You all suck.
Yeah.
You're like, when did that happen?
Piece of shit.
And so the boy, Seita, decides to take his little sister and move to this little cave, and like they'll live there and they'll be happy. And I heard a lot of people complain. It's like, Seita should just ask for help, because like, I'm like, he can't go back to that place because that aunt was going to be really mean, and like, that's not a good environment. Yeah, I mean, it's either starve to death or starve to death while being yelled at because she got mad at them for eating food. Of course. The little girl, Setsuko, she's starving the whole movie. She's got diarrhea. She's dehydrated. He gets enough money to buy some nice chicken. And so he goes in there, and she'd been eating rocks or something. Yeah. And so he like goes and he puts a watermelon in her hand. It's like, go ahead, I'll leave this for you and I'll cook some chicken. And she just dies of starvation right there. Just eat the fucking watermelon.
And the montage that plays after.
Oh,
you.
There's a montage of the little girl playing around after she dies, and then I think he just gives up on life. He doesn't really kill himself, but like,
he just dies.
Yeah, the beginning of the movie is his last moments alive, like when he just slumps over in the middle of the train. I think he just gave up. This is a movie no one wants to watch, but I feel like it's very important for people to watch, because, like, for instance, the film that's very similar to this is Barefoot Gen, but the difference between this and Barefoot Gen is right in the action. A lot of movies that talk about disasters and wars are always right in the action. This one's like sidelines. These characters never see any of the war other than the couple of the bombs being dropped on them, but then the rest of it's away from them. They just hear about it. And so it talks about just how like two children can just be caught up like this and die, and like no one seems to care. Like there's that other scene of the other girls coming back home after leaving for the war, and they're like, oh my gosh, everything's exactly the way it was. Meanwhile, this kid is buying a box to burn his younger sister's body in because she died. It's not as graphic as you'd think it would be. Like there's really only one scene that's really graphic, and that's when they find the mother who had been hit with a bunch of bombs, and she's just like wrapped up in bandages.
Maggots.
Yeah, there's maggots on her. That's
tasty.
That's pretty much the only graphic scene. But I think that like especially that opening scene has a little bit of beauty to it, like when the two of them reunite.
They have the candy.
Yeah, they have a little thing of candy. It's really depressing. It's the only movie that is not available on HBO Max.
Or any streaming service.
It's not available on any streaming service. It's available completely for free on YouTube. You can even rent it on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's just for free by some random person who uploaded it. If you want to watch this, make sure you're in the right headspace.
Yeah.
Okay, well, moving on. My favorite character was Seita, the boy.
I just put yes.
My favorite scene was when they first moved into the bunker, because it's like the only happy moment in the entire film.
I just put fuck you. I don't wanna.
No. Okay, moving on to more happy stuff.
Please.
Bye.
And periods became an obsession.
You had the period.
Only yesterday.
Yay, only yesterday.
Yeah, I love this movie.
Not really.
Not really.
This movie is similar to Beauty and the Beast in the way where it's a really good movie. It's super awesome, but it's just not my favorite. I like more lighthearted films to watch. Like, I don't want to sit there like 8 years after. I don't want to question my life. It's kind of like two different stories going at once, but it's not like Wind Rises. Basically, this girl, Taiko, she's 27 and she's unmarried. Oh my god, they make a big deal about that. But she's basically going to this farm and she's going to help make blueberry, I don't know. Lipstick, that. She's making that. She's volunteering. And she runs into this boy that she kind of has a crush on. He's a little bit younger than her.
Toshio.
Yeah, Toshio. She goes around and she's talking to these people and just working at the farm. But there's also flashbacks to her younger self and just growing up. Those kind of like play into it. Like she'll go to the peak of like a mountain. She'll be like, look, there are birds. Oh, I remember saying that line in a play when I was a child and then having a flashback to that.
Bye-bye, birds.
Yeah, bye-bye, birds. That's pretty much it. That's what the story is. I know a lot of people tend to not like this one. And a lot of people say, like, it's too long or it, like, focuses on random things. I'm like, if you think about the movie Up, like what Russell says, like, you remember the boring stuff the most.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's a good way to look at it. They have a whole scene about them eating a pineapple for the first time. And it's like,
pineapple.
yeah, it lasts like 15 minutes, but it makes an impact. You remember it. You remember her disappointment that the pineapple wasn't an amazing food. Yeah, you really feel a lot of that stuff. I have a whole section on periods, so this one...
turning red.
Yeah, beat turning red.
Yeah. Like, this movie, bro, my brain was thinking 24/7. I'm like, what the f, bro? Like, what am I supposed to do with this information you are giving me? And then don't even get me started on that end scene where she goes back to because she was going to leave the farm because, you know, she was getting done. And then she's like, you know, I want to stay at the farm and marry that boy. So she goes back to the farm and, like, there's, like, little ghost people of, like, her past and everything. And, like, they have a little sign for her and it's cute and it's great and yeah.
Yeah, it's like her past self leads her back to the person she's gonna fall in love with.
Yeah.
The only complaint is that it's pretty slow, and I think it's supposed to be, but like they have a whole scene where she's driving to the farm with a boy that she's having a crush on, and he just talks about like plant life,
the farm economy.
Yeah, farm economy, and it plays nothing, and she's like, yeah. I'm like, I don't care. A lot of people also talked about the scene where the father hits her.
Yeah.
And like that came out of nowhere. Like I know that you want to show a bit of like the parental abuse. That's how it affected her in the future. Put it down. The father's like, hey, we're gonna go out for Chinese food. And she's like, I don't want to go. And he's like, fine, then stay here. And she's like, actually, I do want to go. So she runs out. And then the father's like, where are your shoes? And she's like, and then he goes over just smack. I'm like,
Chinese tradition.
Japanese. Like, God, she just forgot her shoes.
My favorite character was Toshio because he was boring and I loved him.
The boyfriend,
yeah,
love interest. My favorite character was Ray, aka the period girl, because I thought she was really funny and she was really optimistic as well. She's like, I'm on my period. It's totally fine. How you doing?
Yeah, men like me.
Yeah, she did. Okay.
My favorite scene was the crow scene. Bye-bye, crow.
My favorite scene was the debate about the hall monitor because I felt like the one character, the smug bitch. It's like, hall monitor should be able to run after the person that's running in the hall and tell them off. It's like, but we have to punish the hall monitor for running. It's like, do we have to give a cop a speeding ticket when he chases down a speeding vehicle? Ha! I'm like, damn. So yeah, that's only yesterday.
Okay, good night, Tri-State area.
Okay. Anytime he's on screen, sexy back play.
Hello? Aren't you getting wet out there? Dad, hurry up! Coming! I'll leave the door open for you.
Don't kill us for this. It's still number 3. This is Spirited Away.
Technically, it's number 2.
I mean, yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. A while back, I'd never seen this. And so, before we started this marathon, this was playing at our Flashback Cinema Studio Ghibli Fest.
Just
whatever.
Say it's playing at our theater.
Shut
it's really
up.
not that hard.
It's playing at our theater, and Kyle's like, hey, we should go see this movie, because it's like, you know, it's one of the best. And like, I hear everyone talk about it. And I went, and I'm like, okay. What was that? Like, I didn't really get it, per se, and I felt really bad, because, like, everyone's, like, singing its praises, and, like, even with movies I'm not really a big fan of, like, Beauty and the Beast or Incredibles, like, I can tell why they're beloved, and I couldn't get it with this one. And then I watched it the second time, I'm like, okay, alright, I kinda get it.
You were getting distracted by me and the boys making out.
Yeah, him and his boyfriends are just, like, kissing on each other the whole time. The gayest straight man alive.
I know you're watching, Jeffrey.
Okay. I kind of liked it a little more the second time. I think it's because I knew what to expect. I feel like hype could kill a film pretty easily. I think it was good. I got the emotions a lot more. It was very creative. I understood what was happening this time.
Yeah.
I could definitely see Chihiro's development a lot more. The first time I was bothered by No Face because he didn't really do anything, and he didn't really play a part. Like, yeah, he destroyed the place and
ate
ate people.
bro.
But like, if you remove that from the movie, not much changes in the overall story. Yubaba was pretty interesting. I still don't get the twin sister. That's kind of dumb.
This movie is more of a spectacle to look at. It's not a crazy plot-driven movie. It's a world that I quite frankly, you know, I haven't given my personal out there opinion on Strange World that I wish Strange World kind of did. But they show the world and why it's magical and how it's beautiful and...
Well, this film isn't afraid of taking things really slow and just letting you feel the emotions that are happening. I think that's one of its strengths. Like, there's a couple things that don't make sense, but I don't think it really matters because it's just a spirit world. Like, I feel like maybe one line could have fixed the problem I have with Lynn, what's her name, Meg.
Oh, I love
my only issue is that everyone's like, oh my god, it's a human! Chihiro's a human! And then I'm like, Lynn looks like a human too, but apparently she's a fox spirit that can shapeshift. I'm like, it would have taken one line to fix that.
But she's hot.
I really love Boiler Man. He's a good father figure.
Best father figure.
Last thing that bothered me was the baby. I f***ing hated the
baby.
baby.
There's like a million parts in this movie. If you pause it, it can be your wallpaper.
Yeah.
So the train scene, the flying scene, the crying scene, the boiler scene, the soot sprites. Well, my favorite character was Lynn. You know.
Mine was Kamaji the Boiler Man.
And I just put yes on favorite scene.
I put Cleaning the River Spirit because I thought it was really well done.
There's a lot of really good scenes.
Any scene really you can pick and it's your favorite, other than her meeting the baby. Other than that, you can pick... Other than that, you can pick any scene. Okay, moving on.
Okay, Fortnite.
If only humans were this nice to each other all the time. Yeah! Woo!
Hell yeah.
10 out of 10.
This movie's a 10 out of 10.
Carrie always isn't even here yet. Okay, so before I start this, I should say that the next two films are basically tied. Like, I really had to struggle to pick which one I thought was better. So, as of right now, I'll put Whisper the Heart in second place. But in reality, like, I could switch them. I could be okay with that. Like, they're basically both number one. Whisper the Heart. It's super wholesome and an adorable love story. And the characters are really good. And I myself like to write. I haven't published anything yet because I'm very lazy. I kind of felt with this one about her being a writer. And we also got the lo-fi girl image from this movie.
Yeah.
So... Wholesome, country roads, your turn.
So basically, this movie is about just a young girl, just living life, high school, you know, high school riding. And what's her name?
Shizuku.
Mishibishi. And her whole life, she's just kind of thought of herself as, you know, just inferior to others. And it's always been like that to her. She meets a older guy at a it's like
antique
an antique shop. Yeah.
Mr. Shiro.
Yeah, Mr.
Shiro Nishi.
Let me get this hat off. There you go, Totoro.
She finds the statue of the Baron in his antique shop, and he says that he met a girl a long time ago who bought the Baroness version, and he's always been trying to find her, but they never did.
Yeah.
And it's like, so like, some things in life can happen and they just never get finished, and that's something else that they put in.
They just talk. Like, this movie is just a lot of talking. It's not like Only Yesterday where it's only coming from one perspective. In this movie, you hear the little girl's perspective, and then the counter argument of like, hey, you might be a rock on the outside, but rocks can still have gems on the inside, and it's like, oh my god, why didn't I think of that? That's where the Baron comes from Cat Returns, oh my god.
Still voiced by Carrie Elways.
Like, this movie, I mean...
He's not really a character in this, so...
And then she meets her little boy toy.
Seiji.
Is that his name? Seiji.
I think so. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Seiji. They meet up. He's read all the books in the library, and she wants to read all the books in the library. And it's all the books she gets, you know, he's already had, and then they meet up, and then they get along. It's one of the most wholesome couples, probably number 2 or number 3. And then they just start hanging out a lot. And apparently the grandpa is Seiji's grandpa or dad?
Grandpa. Shizuku rewrites the lyrics to Country Roads. That's kind of her personality trait.
They go down, you know, it's them two hanging out at the antique shop. They go down, and he starts making violins. And then they have the talk of Shizuki's like, hey, you're so good at doing all this. He's like, well, it's also taken me years and years and years. Then, you know, he starts playing violin, and then she starts singing Country Roads, and it's great. And then the grandpa and his friend shows back, and they start playing other instruments with them, really giving her, you know, confidence in her, what she wants to do. And that kind of feels like the turning point of this movie of, hey, maybe she can do this.
But she wants to write a story starring the Baron, and like when she finishes it, she takes it to Mr. Shiro Nishi, and she's like, go ahead and read it. I'll wait right here. Just tell me how awful it is.
She like waits outside and like just curls up into a ball.
Yeah, I felt that so much,
and
man.
It's just like it just really hits a lot of people, where it's just like, because everyone has that thought of, you're not good enough. Everyone, no matter, it doesn't matter. You playing football or to ballet, everyone's had that feeling. And this movie just hits a little too hard for me to not put it at number one. That's why it's number one. And it's very down to earth. Literally the only like mythical scenes of it is her story being portrayed by Baron.
That's where the cover comes from. But like basically Seiji is like, I'm gonna move to France and I'm gonna be gone. I think it's France. But he said, I'm going to move somewhere and I'm going to be gone. After some time passes, and he's like, I think I'll stay. And she's like, I love you. And he's like, I love you too. Just credits.
Like, damn. Besides that, I actually just can't say anything negative about this movie. Because the pacing all feels real. The movie feels real. Everything just feels so like it could happen in my life.
It's very good. So it could be number one. It could be number two. It could be...
Or just tied for number one.
Yeah.
That's why I put Spirited Away at number two, technically. I mean, whatever your editing, Liz, feels like putting.
Okay. So my favorite character was Mr. Shiro Nishi.
I just put yes.
My favorite scene was the group singing the Country Roads, because that was so wholesome.
I also just did yes, but if I had to choose any, it would probably be the clock scene.
Oh, yeah, that clock was so beautiful.
Yeah, there's a scene whenever she goes into the antique shop, there's a clock that the grandpa Shiro fixed, and that clock was mwah.
Yeah, dwarves mining gems and like a love story and
Snow
moons.
White.
I would sell your kidney for that clock.
Okay.
Oh, honey. Found the small child in the bamboo.
Honey, I shrunk the kids. We get to big ol' number one. That would be Princess Kaguya. I mean, this movie, it's a wonder to behold. This movie kind of has the same animation as Yamada's. I think it actually kind of is the same.
It's supposed to talk about like ancient Japanese paintings, stuff like that.
I'll let you talk about the crazy animation scene. You know, this movie, going into it, like I had high hopes, and every single hope was fulfilled. My only complaint about the movie is the ending kind of feels like there's like 3 endings, because it kind of feels like it should end, then it just doesn't. Other than that, like, I think this movie's probably perfect. Like, sometimes the dad was a bit harsh, but yeah, like, you know, you can kind of see where he's coming from, but, you know...
I actually knew the original story of the Princess Kaguya, and they follow it relatively well. But basically, this bamboo cutter finds a little girl in a bamboo shoot, and so he takes her home, and he's like, she must be a princess, a blessing from the gods. I will give her everything, because every time I cut down bamboo, there's just gold inside. So I must treat this child like it's the second coming of Christ. She grows a lot faster than she should. They eventually get enough money to take her to, like, I think it's Tokyo. Is it Tokyo, or is it? It's some big city. I just know it's
some mansion.
Yeah, some big city, and they try to train her to be like a princess. Like, they shave off her eyebrows, they paint her teeth black, because apparently that was in style back then. They'd say, like, don't speak, just... You have to be a perfect little princess. She has a little helper that we just call Abby because it reminded us of Abby from Turning Red. Even though, according to this, her name is Meno Warawa.
Yeah, I'm good. Abby.
Kaguya has to, like, sacrifice a lot of herself to, like, appease her parents. And, like, there's kind of a romance thing with an old friend from way back when, but, like, it's also not really a romance because he ends up with someone else at the end. Like, she basically has all these suitors because everyone wants to marry this beautiful woman, and they've never even seen her. Yeah. But all these suitors are like, oh, you're as beautiful as the fur of this magical creature that no one's seen. Oh, you're as beautiful as this crystals on this magical tree. And she's like, well, then all you bring me the stuff that you think I'm the equivalent of. And 3 of them bring back fakes, 1 of them dies, and the other just gives up. And then there's also the prince or the king, I don't know. But he's like, I want to marry her. So he goes over and he tries to like assault her. He's like, you're gonna be mine. And then she just teleports away. And that's kind of where like the ending kind of rushes in a little bit, because in the original tale of Princess Kaguya, she just rejects him and he's cool with it and they're friends. And he's actually the one who tries to protect her from the end. Basically, she says to her parents, she's like, I'm actually from the moon. And when I teleported away, because that guy scared me, I accidentally called the people back and they're going to take me back to the moon. And I'm going to forget everything once they put this magical cloak on me. And so the parents do everything they can to try to like keep her safe and not let them in. But the moon people just like, whoosh, just get past all the defenses, take her. She hugs her parents goodbye, and then they put the cloak on her, and she forgets everything. And it's super upsetting. But, like, that's just the general plot. Like, there's a lot of other things. Like, most of the movie is just about her struggling with the whole, like, what a woman should do and all this stuff. Like, a great scene is when they celebrate her name day or something, where they name her, because they don't name her till she's, like, 16 or something. She's basically put in this little cage, almost, and, like, forced to sit here while her parents celebrate. And then the animation style gets all scratchy and crazy as she just freaks out and breaks out of her cage and runs all the way back, which is actually a dream. But, like, the way the style changed, I wish they did it a little bit more. It'd make it even cooler. Like, anytime she's stressed, like, it gets more scratchy. It's just really, really good. It feels like this movie came out, like, it's so long ago because of how well it was done. It feels timeless. Yeah. It doesn't feel like pop culture references. Yay, Minions.
Like this movie only came out 10 years ago.
Yeah, not even. The only other complaint I do have to mention is that there's a lot of, like, nudity, quote unquote.
Yeah. There's boobs in, like, the first 5 minutes.
This movie would be good to show to kids if that wasn't in it. Because, like, basically the mom is, like, holding, because the child turned into a baby. And so she's like, I'll take her to a wet nurse. And then all of a sudden she just pulls out her tit and she's like, I can breastfeed. I'm like,
and the tits are like straight up in your face.
Yeah, they show the baby naked a lot. They show little boys naked a lot. Like, it's a little weird. But other than that, it's fine. That's the tale of the Princess Kaguya, and if you have not seen it, please do. Even though I just pretty much spoiled the whole thing. But if you've heard the legend before, it's not really a spoiler. So my favorite character was the Menowarawa Abby.
If I do the Abby or Kaguya, it's either one of those two.
And I bet my favorite scene was the ending. Even though it came out of nowhere, I just like that scene where she put the cloak on and just Kaguya forgot everything, her family, her friends. It was just like, ow.
Yeah. And mine was just yes.
Okay. So, we have finally finished.
Woo, yeah.
And it only took us 4 or 5 hours?
Yeah, ish.
Okay, well. Woo. Next will either be Star Wars or live-action Disney remakes.
Yeah.
We're almost done.
I know, but then we have to clean up.